Okay. Hey, Coach Bandstra, thanks for having me on here to share a little information with everybody about some things we do here at Fort Recovery. My name is Brent Niekamp. I'm the head football coach at Fort Recovery in Ohio. I've been the head coach here for 15 years. My contact information is here on the first slide. You can email me or you can message me on Twitter. And I love talking about football and helping out other coaches. You know, I've had a lot of help over the years. And so it's important to me to be able to share and help other guys out too. So we'll jump right into what we're going to talk about tonight, and that is our zone play. Our main play, the base of our offense is built around the wide zone play that Alex Gibbs made famous, about 20 years ago. So first talking about why we do it. No negative plays. We want to be able to cover everybody up at the point of attack, at least. It might not be the perfect block, but we want to get a hat on a hat at the point of attack and force defenders to have to get off a block and make a tackle. We don't want any free hitters. So that's important to me. And I know, guys win a lot of games with gap schemes and things like that. I coach the defense too, and it's a small school, so I coach both sides of the ball. And being a defensive coordinator, I always feel like, gap schemes a lot of times allow you to get a free hitter there. But I feel like with zone, we can make everybody, if they're going to beat us, they're going to have to get off a block and make a tackle at the point of attack. So no negative plays, get everybody covered up. Know who to block before how to block. We're going to work on who to block the first week of the season, and then we're going to work the rest of the year on how to do it. And hopefully with all those reps, we get better and better at it. And you should see a big improvement in how we do things from the beginning of the year to the end of the year. Another reason that we do what we do is for depth. You're interchangeable with your offensive line if you run zone. Every position from the center out to tight end, if you've got both tight ends on the ball, you got 7 guys and they're all doing the same thing. So, at a high school level, especially small high school level, you don't have the next best right guard. You got your next best offensive lineman, period. You got your first 5 guys, and then, whoever is your next best guy has to go in there wherever you need him. So it's nice to not have those specialized positions where, again, if you're a gap team, your guard and your tackle positions are a little bit different. But for us, they're really not. All the way out to, we could take a tight end real easily, move him in to play offensive line, and what he learns and what he does and what his steps are and techniques are doesn't change at all. So that also allows us, that brings me to my next point with multiple formations and personnel. Again, small high school, can't recruit guys, can't bring in different guys. We got who we got. So, if we have a season where our best players are 4 wide receivers, then we can play this with 10 personnel. If we have a tight end, or if we have 2 tight ends, we can play with 12 personnel, 21 personnel, 22 personnel. We can, this scheme is flexible enough for all those different personnel groups. So that can change year to year, and that's important for us. We don't do much else. That's the next point. This is one of those plays that I feel like you have to marry it if you're going to do it well. And we do. We run inside zone. Outside zone, inside zone, and a little bit of gap counter stuff that we really don't do very effectively. But we hang our hat on running, wide zone. So, and we get a ton of reps at it from the first week of the season to the last. We're going to rep these techniques 1,000 times. And so the kids then develop a real comfort level with it. And I'm a big believer that players that are comfortable and understand what they're doing and they're confident, they're sure of themselves, they become aggressive players. And you'll see our guys throughout the course of the year, especially if they're a new starter or a new player, they might be a little hesitant at first, but by the 4th or 5th or 6th week, they've had however many hundreds of reps, and they're starting to feel more confident, more sure of themselves, and that makes them more aggressive. You can see them come off the ball harder and finish plays harder. So that's why we do it. I know different people call this different things, and we started off calling it outside zone. When we started running this in like 2006, we weren't very good at it. Basically everybody just stepped the same way, and the running back took off, and we said, find an opening. And we ran it for a few years. We didn't run it for a few years, ran more inside zone. And then I got a hold of some of the Alex Gibbs videos and really studied it and decided that this could be the consistent play that we wanted to kind of build everything else around. And back then we called it outside zone, so we still kind of call it outside zone. I think a lot of people call it wide zone because we're really not going outside. It can go outside. The defense will tell us if we're going to bounce or not, but most of the time this is going to bend back in behind the front side players, in the area where the tight end started out. So the keys here are on the front side, we want double teams. We want movement, and it's going to move horizontally, but we also kind of want it to be at a little bit of like a 45. We want movement up the field as much as we can get to. So the front side's got to double team and move people, and the backside has to get the backside pursuit cut off. And that's typically where the lane's going to be for the ball to go. Something that as I studied this play more, we probably started really getting good at it like 2011, 2012. And it's important for the running back to read the end man on the line of scrimmage, and he's got to make the right read. And it's defined. If the end man on the line of scrimmage, and then end man, I mean defender, the last man on the line of scrimmage who's down in a stance. If he's out, our running back's got to bend it up. If that guy goes in, our running back's got to bounce it. And I'll show you some examples of why that's really important, especially if the running back wants to bounce it when he shouldn't. You're going to get holding calls, and I'll show you why that happens. The quarterback has to boot to hold the backside. You have to, I think with this play, and there's different ways to do it, but I think you have to do something to hold the backside of the pursuit. And that can be, we love boots off of it, but you can do it with RPOs. There's different ways to be creative with that. And then you got to have some different answers for when they bring the extra guy in the box. Whether you're overshifting formations or whatever it might be. Something else I probably should have put in here is another important factor in this is we can run 1 million formations. We can run as many formations as we want, as many ways as you can think to line up. We'll do that. And it doesn't really change anything for the 5, 6, or 7 guys that are blocking the play. So we can look a lot more multiple than we actually are by doing that. So first, teaching who to block. This is how we do it day one every year with junior high guys all the way up to our seniors. We'll take our center, guards, tackles, and tight ends, and we'll line them all up, all 7 guys, and then we'll put 7 defenders across from them. And we'll have all the defenders on the line, head up on each guy. We'll say, look, this is how you identify who you have. The center has to identify the middle defender, and we count out from there. and the guards have number 1, the tackles have number 2, and the tight ends have number 3 on their side. Now, of course, people are going to move, but this is a starting point. If a defense were to line up with 7 guys across the front on the line of scrimmage, every guy would block, if we're running this play to the right, every guy would block the right half of his guy. He'd put his head on the outside of the defender's helmet, and we would we'd try to reach him, feeling that defender and seeing if he's going to try to jump out. If he jumps out, I'm going to push him out. If he stays in tight, I'm going to reach him. And if everybody was on the line, that's how we would do it. But then what we do is we back some guys off. So we'll start off with, we'll back off the 0 and both of the 2s. And what happens when we do that is we have a 4-3 look. When guys are off the ball, then that tells us our combinations. So once we've identified 0 and the rest of the count, then we go with covered and uncovered rules. So the if we're working from the center to the right on the play side, the play side guard is covered and the center is uncovered. So since the center's uncovered, he knows he's working play side towards the covered man, and the guard knows that I'm covered and the center's uncovered. So the center's coming with me, and he's going to help me on this D tackle, and we're going to work up to the Mike linebacker who belongs to the center. Same exact technique that the tight end and tackle are doing on the play side with the defensive end and the outside linebacker. And the backside is a little different technique. The combination is similar, but we have different calls back there where the guard will cut the one and the tackle will run for the linebacker, or we can actually combo it and work in tandem to get that cut off. But with guys, the covered or uncovered rules are how we determine who's working with who. So, then we'll tell those guys to go back up on the line, and we'll drop the ones off, the guys covering the guards. Now we're looking at a 5-2 or a 3-4 type of look. So now we go right down the line, who's covered, who's uncovered, who's working with who. So here the play side guard is working with the play side tackle, working on the D tackle up to the linebacker. The play side tight end is all by himself on number 3, and the center and backside guard, the left guard, are working on the nose guard up to the backside inside linebacker, and then the tackle and the tight end are both man-to-man on 2 and 3 on the backside. So that takes care of 7-man fronts right there, but with a 3-4 and 4-3. Then we look at 8-man fronts. It's a little different with an 8-man front. You got to push everything out to the front side a little bit. But the rules still apply. If you're covered, you got the guy on top of you, and you got to look down the line to your uncovered teammate. If he's uncovered, he's coming with you, and you know that you guys are going to work that double team up to the second level. If he's covered also, then you're by yourself. So if you're that tight end on the play side, on the right side here, I got that 3, or I got the outside linebacker to my outside. I look back to the offensive tackle, and he's covered. That tells me I got this outside linebacker or defensive end all by myself. The offensive tackle to the play side, the right offensive tackle, he's covered. He looks back, the guard's uncovered. I know that guard's coming with me, and we're working the combination up. And the kids learn this pretty quick. And then they, we don't even really give them that much in terms of calls. They just kind of, they make some things up. They might have little hand signals or whatever they give each other, but kids figure out pretty quick who's working with who, and get pretty confident with it pretty quickly. And this would be against a 4-4 look. Now, in this case, there is no middle defender for the center to call 0, so he would call the first down lineman to the play side, and that's the defensive tackle. The guard's covered, the center's uncovered. They're working their combination, and the tight end and tackle on the play side are doing the same thing, and the guard and the tackle on the backside are doing the same thing. So that's how we identify people. And really, there's not very many looks that those rules can't handle. So like I said, week one, we're going to teach guys who they got, and we're going to spend the rest of the year working on how to do it. So how we drill it, you start with one-on-ones, and we start with reach blocks, getting that first reach step, getting width right away. We tell them we want to scare the defender with width. We want to get width real quick and make that defender jump out wide with us. If he doesn't, we're going to keep working around him, and we're going to let our backside teammate overtake him. If he jumps out with us, we're going to take our backside hand and we're going to shove him to the sideline, locking out our backside hand. So really, it's just a reach block where we're not truly trying to reach the guy. We're going to work to reach him, and then we're going to adjust on how he plays the block. And then you got to reach and cover. So that would be like an uncovered guy having to take wider steps, maybe a bucket step, and getting more depth so that he can square up as his play side teammate is sliding off of the covered block. Then we go to 2-on-2s, and you got, if I back up a slide here, those combinations that we talk about on the first day, that's what we do in the 2-on-2s, and we'll move those guys around and show them every movement that they can expect between their tandem that they're working towards. In 15 years, I've done thousands of 2-on-2 drills, and I think it's super valuable to run this play well, to run any zone play well, I think. Then we do some front side and backside work. We do half line, really like half line, because then we can teach the kids the differences and pushing that front side and getting movement on the front side and getting cutoffs on the backside. Then from there, we'll build into a 5-on-5 setting or a 7-on-7 setting where we'll work some movements that might involve more people and might break our 2-on-2 rules. Like if teams move a lot, we may need to work 3-man combinations so that we can see, 2 guys on the line moving, and we got to work 3 guys up to that second level. But that's it. We do those things every single day, all season, and it's been pretty good to us. I got a bunch of clips from last season, and we'll get through a few of these, and then I'll show you some boots and some play actions also. These are mostly good plays. I think they're all good plays. I didn't want to put any bad ones on here. So, this is a bounce, and he probably, I guess it was okay. We look at the key guy that's going to tell us whether he should bounce it is this guy right here. So we'll see if he should have bounced that or not. And we're watching that down D lineman. He comes in, running back goes out. That's the correct read. Now, our H back there, our wing, he needs to get more width on that outside linebacker. If you just base the guy up, then he's going to squeeze you back inside. So we want to work for more width there. But our running back read the down lineman correctly. He bounced it and got some positive yards. I'm going to move through these pretty quick. From the sideline view, even you can see on the front side of this, we get some movement. We're moving people laterally, but also off the line of scrimmage. And there's that cut that everybody recognizes from the zone plays, and it's not so much of a cut back as it is a cut up. If you look at where he actually makes his cut here, he's where the tight end started. That's a decent decent combination on the front side between our tackle and guard. You know, they're reading that down lineman come in, the guard overtakes him, the tackle works to the second level. And again, not the prettiest thing in the world, but we get on the front side, what do you see at this point right here is we got a hat on a hat on the front side. We got the backside sealed off, and we can get yards that way. Again, really good movement on the front side of this. Looking at the end zone view, our left guard, number 67, he did this well all year. And this is an important thing to coach your offensive lineman on if you're going to run this play. We say, you know, the running back has to read the first down lineman. That's going to be a D tackle. And we say, look, if the read's not very clear, it's our job up front to make it clear. So what you're going to see this left guard do is define the read for the runner. He's going to knock that D tackle out, and you really get movement there. You see those two D linemen work their way out. You get a good stretch on the front side. We get the backside sealed, and that's where the ball should go. So especially if defenders want to play heavy, if they're trying to two gap, that kind of thing, we'll have that guard just shove him out and say, look, we're telling the runner where the hole is. We're going to define it. That's another good look. Same thing by our left guard. He shoves him out. And typically that guy is already engaged. So you really, it doesn't take a ton to get him moving. And they got the runner working that way. And he can get north and south and get some yards. This play, there's a penalty on this play, and it's because we bounce it when we shouldn't have. '73, it's not real clear. The D lineman, number 73 on the play side. Our tight end needs to get more width than this, but the second block out there by the tight end or the stand up the H back. This is the point I wanted to make before about how important it is to read the blocks correctly. So you got number 13 on the edge of the screen here has outside position on our guy. If the runner goes outside as well, our guy has no choice but to hold him. You know, he's gonna grab it because the defender is going to release in the direction that the ball goes, and there's nothing he can do about it. The runner has to cut in behind his blockers. He's got to be able to see that. And that's when we first started doing this well, that was a touchy subject between the O-line coach, which is me, and our running backs coach. Because, you know, we'd have a decent run and we'd get a holding penalty, and they'd say, you know, they'd chew on the tight end or the tackle for holding. I'd say, wait a second, the runner bounced. He can't do anything about it. If the defender's on the outside and the runner bounces out to the defender, you're going to get a holding call. So you got to read it correctly. And it takes work. It takes a lot of reps. That's why we don't run a ton of plays. This is another kid running the ball. This is later in the game. But again, you're going to see that left guard really help define things, get movement. Worst case scenario, we're going, I guess 73 stayed in a little bit there. and the runner finds that crease. Not all super pretty, that's for sure. I'm going to skip ahead to some different looks. But, like I said, starting out, it's important for us to get a hat on a hat and force guys at the point of attack to get off the block. Now, this is just, it's against a 3-4 look. That's a great example of a tight end not getting wide enough. He's got to attack the outside of that guy. We didn't have an end zone view of that one. There's a good play. Should see movement on the front side, which we get. Number 72, his guy works out. He's going to take that backside arm and lock him out and run him towards the sideline. And that kid was a good player for them. Number 54, he was tough. Big guy, athletic. But you can see when that defender starts moving that way, you use his momentum against him and you can get some space created. 78's looking at the down lineman. He works out. I'm working up to the linebacker. I'm going to cover him up. We get the backside sealed off. Not the prettiest thing in the world, but we get the nose guard so he can't work over the top. It's a bad cut on the backside. Most common mistake is guys try to cut too soon. And he did a little skip pull there, which we do teach, depending on the angle. But he's got to take more steps. He's got to run further before he decides to try to cut him. The runner slips, but this is the movement we create here is pretty solid. You can see that. You can watch the line. And it's not because we're not devastating up front. But we're using the defense's movement and momentum against them. And as they're moving sideways, you can work them up the field and create a push. That one cut all the way back. I think the backside 4-eye. I'm looking at the wrong play here. I missed the end zone view of the last one. Here we go. You can see the backside 4-eye. We try to get him cut off, but we stay on our feet and run him all the way down the line. And the runner bends back behind everything. It's another example of how this play works and how it's a cut up, not a cut back. Is that cut back looks pretty drastic. It goes all the way behind the backside defensive tackle. But look at where it happens on the field. It happens where the tight end started. If you see the ball on the hash, then there's the cut. There's where he comes out. That's where the tight end started the play. And you've got all that movement. The defense moves all the way over. Try to cover that. That's a bounce that shouldn't have bounced. I shouldn't have had that one on here. Again, this is against a good front. Hat on a hat. Force them to get off a block and make a tackle. Some teams do it really well, and if they can do it consistently the whole game, then they're going to beat you. But this I think can have a wearing effect on teams. When you force those guys on defense to get off a block and make a tackle over and over and over and over, by the third quarter, the fourth quarter, this play I think starts to wear on defenders. And you see guys, getting out of their gaps and And that's when you have a chance to break big plays. Again, consistent. The runners, it's important that these guys get downhill. They can't dance. Running backs got to make one cut and live with it. And, this is just a 3-yard gain, but that's to me, that's a good football play. You got everybody covered up at the point of the attack. You're getting some movement. Your runner makes the right read and gets downhill and gets yards. Get a hat on a hat. Now, we didn't, front side combination, our guard didn't come off very well. These are all against odd looks. I want to show you a couple clips against even looks. I have to scroll down here a little farther. Here we go. We don't see as many 4-man fronts as we used to. Now almost everybody's odd, but this is a 4-man front. Now you're going to see the backside cutoff on that backside D tackle, the front side getting a push. Hopefully this is late in the season. This is our last game, so steps look better. We're more sure of ourselves. We're a little more confident. But you see the same things on the front side. Front side, we're pushing people. We're moving the defense laterally and up the field. That backside's getting cut off. Number 72 is doing a good job of hustling for that linebacker. And we tell that backside guy who's chasing the linebacker, you just get a piece of him. Just get a piece of him and let the back make you right. And that picture's what we like. Here we are again, 4-man front. You can see this time, number 63, our right guard, chose to just reach the guy instead of cut him. We give those guys, we show them different ways to do it, and then we let them do what they think they need to. Sometimes that guy will play real heavy, or he won't, really shoot up the field. So it's not as good to cut him. So we say, well, just reach him then. If he's not penetrating real hard, then he's easier to reach. We let them make that decision based on what they see. That backside defensive end, he did reach, or he did cut. I'm sorry, and he does a decent job of it. Gets a few more feet in the ground before he makes the cut. Front side, getting a hat on a hat, letting the running back operate. Another good decisive play. There's a backside safety that we didn't get blocked, or outside linebacker is an 8-man front. That's what we got to live with. There's going to be somebody in an 8-man front. There's going to be somebody you don't block. But we get some decent yards before he gets there. That's a pretty good job by our backside tackle of getting there for the cutback. He gets some good width on that first step. He does get 3 steps in before he cuts. I'd like to see him get even further, cover even more ground if he can. You can see the movement on the front side there. The linebacker plugs the B gap right away. So 63 has to basically just hand off the D tackle to our center. But we get some movement going the front side, and we give our runner a chance to cut up, make a play. I guess 67 should have worked back to that linebacker, our backside guard. But that brings up something else that's critical in running this play, and that is your boot plays, your nakeds to hold the backside. So that's some examples of the play itself. Now I want to show you some boots and some play actions that can be really big plays if they're called at the right time. I prefer nakeds on these. I don't like pulling guys back the other way, guards that is, because in my mind that's an easy key for the linebacker. He can see a difference between a true outside zone or when you pull a guy, and they can react to that. So we want it to look as much like the actual play as we can. So we're all just going to step, and we're going to leave the backside guy go. I'm not sure what our left tackle was doing here. He should have just let that backside defensive end run down the line. This is when we call this play, when we know that end's going to chase, and we have options on the front side. I think this one's going to the top of the screen. You can see those linebackers. When you run this play as much as we do, those linebackers got to chase, and they'll chase hard. And they just didn't cover our takeoff route. Usually that route's not open. Usually the ball's going to go to our flat route, number 35, who is open. Something was blown on coverage there. This is a look of, if we run it well, this is usually what we get. You can see our tight end at the bottom of the screen. Hits the outside linebacker just a little bit. He'll play around with that edge man a little bit just to slow him up a hair and allow our quarterback to get around. And then usually that's the route we can hit. And sometimes those guys can make it into a big play. But this is one of those if-then things. If you're doing a good job blocking the front side of the outside zone play, and you're getting the backside cut off, then really the only way people can stop it is if they're going to commit the people to run down and get into that alley where you're going to cut the ball back into. So then you gotta call a boot. You have to get the quarterback out on the edge. I think the way Alex Gibbs describes it is you want your best player running one direction and you want your second best player running the other direction. And that's what you get when you got your running back going one way and your quarterback going the other way. And you force the defense to defend all of that. And those are easy passes. Anybody can make that pass. Get your head around, find him. That's a big play. You can see our tight end does a great job here of checking number 28, making sure he's not blitzing, and inviting him inside as he works out to the flat. That's critical. If you just take off out of there too quick and 28's on a blitz, then he might hit the quarterback before he turns around. So just making sure that you slow him down enough is important. Another good one to the top of the screen here. That's the same kid doing the same thing with the defensive end. I'm just going to slow him up a little bit. I'm going to kind of make it look like it's a half-hearted effort to block that guy on the backside. It's the backside of the play, getting lazy about it. And I'm going to let him go. And that gives the quarterback enough time to get around and find the flat route. Everything else on the play looks the same. The line is, we tell them don't get downfield. If it's a boot, everything's the same as far as who you block, but just don't go downfield. And you can see the defense definitely honors the fake. they go running. And we got several guys we can throw to. Now they picked up the flat route there, and the 12-yard cross was open behind them. Another big play. Where I think if you call these boots and play actions, if you run the ball with any kind of effectiveness with this play, then these boots and play actions you can get chunks with them. This is a nice. This outside linebacker at the top of the screen is a good player. We get in his way enough. Quarterback gets his head around and finds the flat route quick enough. We create another good play. But you can almost compare the way zone, the wide zone. In my mind, it fits together almost like triple option, in that what you're asking the defense to do, what you're forcing the defense to do, is cover every phase of the play. And that is, you got to be gap sound on the front side. You can't get out of your gap. You can't get out of your gap on the back side. You can't get cut off, or there's going to be a crease. And all that stuff's happening while the play is moving. And then you also have to honor the backside and the boot element of it. So in a way, you're forcing the defense to be very, very disciplined and cover everything across the field. And I think I got two play actions on here that are same thing. We want to make the front look exactly like it's a run. The safety step up, and we're going to try to throw a post behind them. We're able to we hit both of these. And again, if you look at in this play, you look at those the two linebackers and the safety that are in the box right here. You watch these guys step up on the run fake, then you're totally manned up out here. So you kind of force the defense to pick their poison. You know, are you going to commit enough guys to stop us from running with 7 blockers in here? And you're going to man up out here, and then we'll have a chance to hit a big one if you do. So, you know, I've only really scratched the surface with this play, and then the critical part of it is thousands and thousands and thousands of reps, so that your players can put my contact information back up here quick, so that your players can understand what they're doing, play fast, be comfortable in their techniques, and feel good about what they're doing and be aggressive. And you know, I think it's got a lot of merit. It's been good to us. We've done it for well over 10 years now. We've had some backs run a lot of yards with this play, and it's kind of one of those things that can carry you through sort of thick and thin. You know, when your talent level's down, you figure out who your best guy is. You figure out how to get him the ball, and you cover everybody up at the point of attack and let him go to work. And then you have your constraints built off of that. Your boots, your play actions, your ways to spread it out if people do load up on him too much. So there's my contact information again. Feel free to reach out. You know, I'll talk about anything when it comes to football. But this has been good to us over the years. And Coach Bandstra, thanks a lot for having me on again. I appreciate it. It's an honor to be asked. So thanks.